Okay, so Remedy just dropped the Control Resonance trailer, and honestly, Control is back in all its confusing glory. I'm gonna do a quick 5 minute breakdown of this trailer because honestly, not much can be made out of this trailer, but I'm gonna try my best. And right off the bat, this trailer alone tells me one thing, that this is Dylan Faden's story now, and Jessie, if you know she's the protagonist of Control 1, she is actually the mystery of this game. The trailer opens with a man held inside what looks like a containment chamber, restrained, monitored, and very much not free. This is Dylan Faden, Jesse's brother. Last seen at the end of Control, still unstable, still dangerous, and very much connected to the Hiss, the main enemy in Control. If you notice the lighting, the walls, the cables, this likely is not imprisonment, this is likely observation. The Bureau isn't punishing Dylan, they are studying him thoroughly in order to see what makes him tick. And honestly, his scars, they don't look like physical injury at all. They look like some sort of resonance damage. You know, the kind that comes from prolonged exposure to paranatural frequencies. Next, we get rapid shots of environments warping, folding, and glitching. You know, classic Control visuals, but much more violent and, weirder. Walls don't just shift, they breathe. Space feels unstable. Now, this suggests something important, that we might see at a threat that is far worse than the Hiss. Now, in Control, the Hiss was a sound-based corruption. In Resonance, it looks like the world itself is corrupted. It's losing its structural integrity. Resonance isn't just the theme, it's the weapon, the disease, and the language of this game. We also see that the Federal Bureau of Control is under attack. We see that through the big hole at its entrance. Now, this is important because the Bureau, rarely loses control from the external side. But this means that something has breached control, and it is likely far much more of a threat than an altered item. Then there's a brief but crucial shot of someone monitoring Dylan's vitals. Now, by the looks of it, it's a woman, and it's likely Jessie herself. If I had to place my money, it's on Jessie. Now, what we are told next makes this much more clear. Now, Dylan wakes up and is told something. The sibling has gone rogue. Now, the sibling, Jessie herself, if she's gone rogue, there are only three possibilities in my opinion. Either she's corrupted, or she's been taken, kidnapped, or she's gone off the grid intentionally. And knowing Jessie Faden and how powerful she is, that's genuinely terrifying. And definitely, I think Jessie is going to be a boss fight in this game. Lastly, we see some gameplay footage of Dylan, who has the same telekinetic abilities as Jessie, but he uses them very differently. Jessie was more long distance focused. She had a firearm which she could, switch between the forms of it, whether it had to be a sort of shotgun blast or a normal pistol or a machine gun sort of, firearm. But Dylan, on the other hand, is not using firearms at all. He is much more melee focused than Jessie was. He fights up close, he throws hands, and he slams enemies with different objects and using the environment to his advantage. This tells us that this game is going to have a lot of variety in terms of gameplay than the first game, and that honestly is a bonus in my opinion. Now we see a boss fight that's happening against a floating head-like entity who's very, very weird in my opinion. And this kind of screams like it's a para-utilitarian manifestation, a human consciousness that's warped beyond physical form. We are fighting in a whole different reality itself. Now, it could be anything, but no one control. It will have some weird explanation. Overall, I can't wait for this game. This game has a very good ring to it, and honestly, if it lives up to the potential that the first game had, then it's a win in my opinion. Remedy knows what it's doing. It's known for creating games that are very difficult to understand and that have a lot of mystery behind its plot. So I'll necessarily play it for the plot itself, because I kind of like what mystery Remedy likes to create in its games. And I had to go to the net in order to unpack everything that its games have. But if the gameplay also delivers, all the more reason to buy this game. So let's see, and I can't genuinely wait. This is your Devil Crow. Please like and subscribe if you like the breakdown. Much more coming up. See you later.